Hey, while earning his MBA, our guest realized there was a need and a demand for people that wanted to get haircuts and for small barbershops that needed a tech solution to solve their business needs. As any good founder does, he solved that problem by launching an all in one platform to power the small barbershop businesses and help them maximize profitability while improving customer experience. Whew. Let's find out how he turned a problem into a profitable business. Stay tuned for the Startup Life live show. Let's glow. Woohoo! Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Startup Life live show. I'm your host, Ande, Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I now share founder startup stories to help newly minted business owners find the solutions and inspiration they need to succeed. So I'm thanking you for carving out time to up your founder game while cheering on a fellow founder. You never know, a new resource, tool, solution, or an aha moment will help enhance your startup journey. And if you're joining us live or via replay, please say hello in the comment thread so I can swing by and give you a virtual hug. And thank you for sharing your love on this video wherever you're watching it from, because we are live right now on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Facebook. And when you click that like button, it goes out into your feed, and you never know who could be served by the words of wisdom, insights, and inspiration we're going to get from our guest today. And if you're tuning in from YouTube and you haven't already subscribed, I would be so grateful for your subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. That really helps us reach more first-time founders. Again, the Startup Life live show is all about maximizing the joy and minimizing the heartache from founder journeys and startup life. Now, how do you know whenever a new show is posted? Join the Startup Life Meetup group. And that's right here. You can scan the QR code or go to the bit.ly link, Startup Life Live. For listeners, I'll have the code in the show notes. And join the meetup group. That way you'll get an alert whenever I post a new show. And guess what? You don't always have to watch the Startup Life live show. You can tune in. Yes, every show gets repurposed on my podcast, where you can find it on iTunes and Spotify and iHeartRadio. It's grooving and moving for everybody to enjoy the show. Also, I just want to share, hey, if you resonate with the show's mission of amplifying diverse founder voices while serving first-time founders around the world, please reach out to me to learn more about how you can make a greater impact in the startup ecosystem through sponsoring Startup Life Live Show. Okay, you just run that by again. You just send me an email, Ande@andelyons.com. Easy breezy. So let me share with you a little background about our guest here. It's the amazing Dave Salvant. And while he was earning his MBA, Dave realized there was a need and a demand for people that wanted to get haircuts and for small barbershops that needed a tech solution to solve their business needs. And he solved that problem by launching SQUIRE, an all-in-one platform to power small barbershop businesses. And since its inception in 2015, SQUIRE has acquired over 2,000 partners in over 40 major markets and across 3 continents. And after Y Combinator, Dave and the team raised over $150 million in venture funding. We are going to learn so much from this founder. Let's bring him into the room. Welcome to the show, Dave Salvant.
How you doing?
I do the virtual clappers, Dave, because, normally you'd be in front of a room and everybody be and so I just wanted to welcome you appropriately. And thanks for tuning in this morning, Mia Voss. Yes, we're going to learn a lot from Dave today. And everybody, just a reminder, this woman, Mia Voss, yes, she is a multi-talented goddess with many different businesses under her hard hat, but she's also the host of the Shit We Don't Talk About podcast. You can find it everywhere you listen to podcasts. And I got to tell you, her show is amazing. And she does talk about things that we need to talk more about. She uncovers it all. And Asia, good morning, Asia. Okay, so happy to see you here. And we've got Asia as a UX and incredible tech goddess. And she's also the community manager for the Startup Life Live Show. I'm so lucky to have you. Thank you, Asia. And hey, Rose. Yes, I'm so happy to learn from Dave as well. He's got a lot of good stories to share with us today. So we're very excited. Dave, what are you feeling grateful for today and this beautiful fall day? Hopefully it's beautiful where you are hailing, which is where?
I'm calling out from Houston, Texas.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous. Well, I hope it's a nice day where you are. And is this where you live full time or are you
Yeah,
visiting?
this is home for me. So I moved
Excellent.
here during the pandemic, and
Oh,
it's
wait a minute. You moved during the pandemic?
yeah, I moved here
Oh
to
my
Houston.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, now you're getting used to a different level of humidity, which is
Hmm.
wonderful. So, as a fellow MBA, I am so curious about how it was that you were there earning your MBA. And, they put us through a lot of different courses, folks. Was it during a class that you came up
Well,
during?
we thought of SQUIRE before I went to business school,
Okay.
and it was one of those things where I was working on it, and went to business school with the intention of doing this after, and I ended up leaving, in the middle to do this full time.
Oh, wow. So you left the MBA program.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had Jenny Leftcourt. She founded during the dot-com boom, the Wedding Channel, which she
Hmm.
sold for $1 billion, and now she's a VC. She did the same thing, and she went to Stanford, and this was back in the 90s. Like, you didn't leave an
Hmm.
Ivy League school MBA halfway through, and she did with her partner, and they had great results. I just want to remind everybody while you're tuning in, do me a favor, okay? I would love it if you would throw in your website URL, one liner. We want to celebrate what you're doing out in the world and put your business up on the screen. And of course, if you have any questions for Dave during our conversation, please pop them in because we want to answer your curious mind questions. And Dave, we have a local favorite here, Oliver Sanchez. He runs the Accel Hub. He helps Latinx businesses bring their business to the US. He's amazing. We love and adore you. Hi, Oliver. I'm so glad you're tuning in. And he's saying, congrats, Dave, on the growth. Yeah, this has been a great growth company. So, you had this idea before you went to grad school. What was it that compelled you? Did you have any entrepreneurship experience prior to this, or did you have role models growing up? Why?
It was just one of those things where I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. It was one of those things where um, I saw like one of the places where you can create, excuse me, you can
Mhm.
create generational wealth and help a community that you serve. Excuse
That's
me.
a beautiful
Yeah,
mission to
sorry.
have and important.
Yeah, so I think it satisfies those two things that were critical to the core person who I am. So it made sense for me to do this.
Right. And now, what I'm curious about is because your background, when I dove into your background, I noticed that you're a finance guy. And so, what was it that compelled you about the intersection of beauty and tech?
I mean, I think I didn't really think about it like that. I saw a need
Yeah.
that I personally faced, and my co-founder personally faced, and it was something that really bothered me significantly, which was getting a haircut, because it was one of those things where you feel amazing after, but the process hadn't changed since I was a child. So I was like, hey, how can I solve for this? And it just kept on coming back to something that was so near and dear to me, and yet technology hadn't um, really taken over this industry. And this was, 2014,
Hmm.
2015. This was a time where, Uber started taking off, Lyft and all these
Right.
other um, technology that had been layered on to existing infrastructure such as cabs and stuff like that. So it was just one of those things where I felt it was right, and we thought that we can do something about it.
Let's dive a little bit into why you felt it was a problem. Look, women, you're with me, right? We try if you move around a lot, you got to find a new hairstylist. Like that's That's harder than finding a good dentist or anything else. It's so hard. You almost want to fly back to where you were getting your hair cut. What was it for you? Were you traveling a lot and you wanted to be able to,
I mean, no, my hair is very short, as you can tell, and it was one of those things where you have to get it done, cut like every week and a half,
understood?
and like I couldn't waste 3 hours every time going to the barbershop. It just was inefficient.
Right. So for you, it was more important to be able to just go, all right, who's available today in my posse of barbers?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, it was more so like, hey, you got to you got to call or text your barber.
Yeah.
You have to, go to the barbershop and wait for, hours or sometimes, and you had to bring cash. All things that I thought could be solved by modern technology.
To make it a more seamless experience.
Mm-hmm.
And, this is a problem many people had had before, but nobody came around to solve it. And, what I love about the founder stories, right, was that you said, okay, I'm going to be this guy. My co-founder and I, what happened over a drink, over coffee? You said, you know what? The timing feels right. A lot of these platforms that are providing services have taken off. So it looks like we can, prove our business model. Why did you feel like you two were ready to be the ones to solve this problem?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think because um I don't know. I think who we are the ones to solve this problem. I think, anyone who solves a problem has to be like a problem that they can't. It has to overtake them. Like
Right.
you have to want to solve it, and
Yeah.
you have to really think about like is it bothering me enough to solve it? Yeah, is this getting my nerves enough for it to solve it for me to solve it? And that was one of the things is like this thing was really bothering us, like really bothering us. And once we really got into it, we thought it was going to be a consumer problem, but oftentimes when you go into it, you realize that it's the bigger issue is the business to business side. So
Right.
once we thought that it was this, you know, solving for the consumer, meaning you download the app, the barber has the app, and there's a connection, etc. The folks book appointment, barber receives appointment. But when we really got into it and really pulled back the sheets of everything, we realized that the real issue was on the business to business side. These guys were cobbling together several different pieces of software. They were using, SQUIRE for payments, MindBody for booking.
Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, they were using several like ADP for payroll, Mailchimp for some type of CRM type thing, and it just wasn't talking. They weren't talking to each other, and they were just they were just kind of just doing their thing.
And meanwhile, the barber's like, I got things to do here. I can't.
Exactly.
I can't have time for all these different systems. So I love that. And founders watching, the reason I drilled down on Dave on that, but why? Why you? Why now? What? Is that he came up with Alicia K. Thank you for bringing that up. Is the problem bothering me enough to solve it? Folks, you need to have that level of I am done with this problem. I'm going to solve it, because you're going to go through some really dark days as a founder, and to be on purpose, to have that North Star, to be really like, look, I'm figuring this out, and wow, I'm going to figure it out for the barbershop owner as well. It really helps you keep moving forward. So when you launched, because you had to, come up with your MVP and proving a lot that you had your ideas, how did you find your product market fit? Because on the Startup Life Live show, this is something we talk about all the time, which is the value prop, Dave, because it's really where so many businesses can fall down. And when folks can prove their value prop, then or pivot while proving their value prop, it really helps them make it. So talk about how you and your co-founder went about proving, that folks wanted what you were selling. How did you find your customer segment? Did you start off with a specific segment first and branch out? And was it what was your moat, your unfair advantage that you were bringing to market?
I mean, I think it was more so just finding out, rolling with the punches. I mean, there was no rhyme or reason. It was very haphazard. It was a wild,
Come on,
whatever,
tell us a story. It was a wild ride.
whatever.
Well, what happened?
Well, ride, but it's like whatever, we threw something at the wall and see if it stuck or not. There was no like kind of formula for it, and that's because we just didn't know. We just didn't know any processes. We were just trying to get this in the hands of our users. In that process, I probably got 400 haircuts, but because the best way to get a barber to talk to you is sit in a chair,
Right.
and at that point
Sweet.
they have to talk to you.
Well, it's a good thing your hair grew fast and you
Yeah,
needed a
yeah,
cut every
absolutely.
week,
But,
right?
but sometimes I used to get haircut 2, 3 haircuts in a day. But it happens.
But come on, I love that. I've got to sit in the chair and talk to these people and get an
Yeah,
idea,
yeah,
what their pain
absolutely.
points are.
But I think small business in particular, they support other entrepreneurs because they were in those shoes
Yeah.
not too long ago, and there's a certain connection. I think you foster between small business owners and yourself when you're in it together. So you're
Yeah.
saying that I'm trying this thing. It's for you guys. You're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. Um, Let me get some feedback. What do you think? And
Right.
and a lot of people, they hear it all. A lot of people blow smoke up. A lot of people just um, talk a lot of smack, but don't really follow through. And when they see you the first time, they wary, but when they see you the seventh time, they're not as wary because they understand and appreciate the persistence, and they appreciate that this person is not going to give up.
And
So
so did you create like a group of early adopters, brand ambassadors who were also excited to see you go on this journey?
yeah, I mean, of course, there's ambassadors, there's folks that supported early on.
Yeah.
We were lucky to have a great support system, but it helped a lot.
I love that. So, Andy Jack, so happy to see you here. He says, congrats, Dave, on the growth of Squire. Excited to hear more about his story and mission. I told you we had fans here in Boston, Dave, that are excited. And AJ has a company called Synergy Consulting and some other wonderful platforms that he works with. And he's the co-host of a pitch event with me called
Hmm.
Founders Live Boston. And hey, LinkedIn user, great show and amazing guest. Thank you for allowing us to share information. No sugarcoating, coach. Okay, everybody. Toy is amazing. She's got great advice. And she's right. She does not sugarcoat how she puts it out. And nothing is better than getting the truth from a good coach. And solutions to one's problem is the key ingredient. Awesome, Dave. All right. So you set about and you started to prove, and you got some float, you got some traction. And then did you start pitching to folks? How did you start building your momentum? And then when did Y Combinator come into the picture?
Yeah, I mean, so the process from there, we're able to raise a small seed round in probably I think June or June of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And we kept building. Got an MVP out during that time, and then we applied to Y Combinator for the first time in summer of 2015. We didn't get in at all. We got a kindly worded email saying that we were accepted, and then we applied again in winter 16, and then we actually got accepted to the fellowship program, which is a program they don't have anymore. But basically, it was like a YC light, I would say.
Okay.
We got a $20,000 grant. Basically, we didn't get into the main program, but they saw something in us that allowed us to,
And
allow us
you,
to hey, we want to look at these guys a little closer.
Yeah.
And then we applied again, and we're able to get into the YC main program in summer of 2016.
Okay, so folks, don't give up. Keep going. The answer is always no, unless you ask again and again and again. And so I love that. And did you have to give up equity for the grant portion, the
No,
light?
no,
Okay,
we did not have to give up
great.
equity for the grant program.
And that was great though, that you could use that as a segue into and a lane into the bigger program. So tell us about the Y Combinator experience, where your business was before you started and what it looked like after.
Um, I think um, come again. Can you ask the question again? I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. So what did Squire look like when you started Y Combinator? Because those of us who are observers of the Y Combinator, whew, we think, oh my gosh, this is, the business is like this, and then it's up here once I go through this program. Tell us a little bit about how it served Squire going through that program, as well as you as founders.
I think the the YC product, YC program allows you to focus on what's important.
Yeah.
So when we were going into YC, we just had our barbershop, and that's another story we can get into. But we just got our barbershop. We had some traction with that, and we were kind of pivoting from this app type of product to like this, solution, or this calendar solution for the
Mhm.
entire barbershop. And we were in the middle of that pivot, and that kind of helped us go a long way.
Yeah. And so you had mentors that understood your industry in Y Combinator?
I mean, we have mentors that you know mentors that have done it before in different verticals.
Yeah.
One of the folks that helped us out was early on was Kasser Eunice, who was the chief operating officer of Y Combinator at the time.
Okay.
Other folks, another someone that's really dear, close to us now is Michael Siebel, who is the
Mm,
CEO of Y Combinator now.
nice.
And we
Oh, he's
just,
wonderful.
yeah, we just
Wonderful human.
stay close, and the insight, um, helped us tremendously, during that time.
That's great. And did you or your co-founder have any, computer science tech backgrounds, or did you have to outsource it, or did you bring someone on board to really help you nail down the platform?
So um, we had somebody else, but it didn't work out.
Yeah.
He was like third co-founder,
Uh-oh.
but
I got a question coming on, Dave.
yeah, I
Did you have a
mean,
good operating agreement?
yeah, no, yeah, I mean,
So he
everything
was
is,
able to move on and
yeah,
he's reaping the
absolutely.
the
Everybody was
awards.
happy. But I think everyone. Um, it just sometimes it doesn't work out between partners. So
That's
he
right.
helped build the V1 of the product, which we're grateful for. But we were able to kind of move on from there, and hire some more tech folks, and get stuff done.
Yep. Get deeper clarity in what you needed.
Yeah,
Because folks, you may
exactly.
not understand anything about the coding, but you know that you have an end result that you need to nail down. And we've had several guests who talk about that, in the library here. We have Igor Belogoretsky here in Boston, who helped us just go right through and how do you nail down your MVP without losing 100K in the
Hmm.
process. So, we have it right here in the library at Startup Life. You mentioned something a little earlier about you had your barbershop. Did you do a brick and mortar?
No, we actually bought out a barbershop that was on a brink of failing,
Okay.
and ran that thing for a year to kind of learn about the operations of a barbershop.
I love that. Something fierce, everybody. I gotta tell you, the reason I did the claps over founder journey, folks, is that wow, you guys went deep into it. It was, and this is how committed you were to solving this problem. And that is what would surface by being in a barbershop. You could start seeing the chokeholds and the pitfalls and the wins and tailor your business. So you held on to it for a year or and sold it?
Yeah, we held on it for a year,
My
about a
gosh.
year.
Wow. I love that. AJ's got a question. Dave, when you said YC helped you focus more on what mattered the most, what exactly was that? Great question, AJ.
I think it makes you focus on growth and the metrics that's going to allow you to raise capital. Like when you're doing it, you have to have a key KPI that you keep on monitoring, that you put all your resources towards, and whether that's and you want to show this growth. When you're not, and think about it, they've been doing this, they've done this hundreds of times, so they know what the investors value, and they know what the investors want to see, and they just make you focus on that during the time you're there,
Love
to
that.
get that kind of hockey stick kind of momentum, and that's super super important. Because at the end of the day, like, um, the lifeblood of a company is capital, and capital gives you time to figure it out. It gives you time to um, work out bugs, or work out product market fit, and that's all you need. And they're good about doing that.
I love that. And take in Dave's words of wisdom, everybody. Traction is not only important for growth, it's also important for your valuation. So that the more traction you have, your business is more valuable, which means you're going to give away less equity when you bring in that life saving oxygen called
Hmm.
capital. Do you agree, Dave?
Correct.
Yeah. And so what did traction look like for you guys? Um, had you brought on a certain amount of barbershops regionally? Were you starting to go national at that point?
I mean, I think just not national, but we were starting to get more and more clients on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's all it is. I mean, this this company lives and dies on customer acquisition. So we were able to get the right barbers around the table, get more and more clients, and go from there.
I love that. And everybody here knows that for me, this is where it's at, the LTV CAC ratio. If you don't know what it's costing you to onboard a customer, go figure it out. I got that handy dandy video that you can go watch if you're like, LTV CAC, what? How did you figure that out? I mean, I know you had a background in finance, so you might have already been bringing those kind of numbers in,
I mean, I
but
mean, I think those metrics are BS until you reach Series A, Series B, because it's always
oh,
changing. It's always changing. You don't know, and they can be manipulated. You know,
talk to me about that. Come on,
I mean,
you've got some insight here.
I think people put too much emphasis on that too early on, and not
Okay.
focus on a customer adoption with your customers. That's all that matters. If your customers like your product, and your customers, really enjoy and become your evangelist, I don't think right at the beginning, at seed, and because all those numbers are wonky, and they really haven't there's no real it's changing so much. I mean, you
Sure.
could dial back 1 month and your LTV will be totally different the next month. And I think we early on, our LTV and CAC was all over the place, and the formulas were wrong, and the metrics were just off out of whack.
Yeah.
But we weren't focused on that. We were focused on making the best product for our customers. And
Right.
when you make the best product with customers, and when you have adoption of your customers, I think that's the only thing that matters when you're in seed and pre-seed, and
Yes.
probably like until like Series A or mid Series A. Then you gotta start tightening up the numbers. But until then, you gotta be focused.
Well, and we all know, speaking of fundraising, that the odds are against anyone who is diverse. You know, women, BIPOC, LGBTQ do not get the kind of funding that our white male friends get. And so,
Mhm.
what was the fundraising process like for you? How did you manage the unconscious and conscious bias? And how did you find aligned investors, Dave?
It was tough. It was very tough. Raising money early on. Let's face it. We're two black guys doing a barbershop app. So, the common notion was we were building a barbershop app for black folks. And, that just wasn't the case. So we had to fight that bias. We had to fight the bias that, people thought it was a small market without even looking to it. It was tough, but luckily, we had a great network of um, people that had some money, which is not very common amongst
Yeah,
black founders. But we had some friends that were making mid six figures, and they were able to give us some seed capital, and then we're able to take that capital and use it and drive it home, and also we're pretty focused on our agenda and our story and our narrative, and we kind of just went from there. So I mean, we're pretty lucky in that regard. Uh, we're pretty lucky in that regard,
mhm.
but um,
What
yeah.
advice would you have for other founders right now who
I mean,
are
I think
diverse?
today it's the easiest to raise capital, ever. I mean, there's so much capital out there, and I would just say, build something that people want to invest in. And also, I think there's so much renewed focus on folks of color,
Yeah.
and as asset class, I think it's undervalued.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense that it's under so few dollars. Um, so few dollars are going into it, um, and and makes sense that so few dollars are going into the diversity, and it's an asset class that's going to be growing over the next 20 years, 30 years, and if
Absolutely.
you don't invest in it, you're going to miss out. You know.
Got to make it happen. Enough of this talk. Let's see some walking happen out there, folks. But I'm glad it worked out with you. And, finding the aligned investors is always the big challenge, especially if you're running out of oxygen, if you're running out of runway and you get so desperate for money. Any advice that you have for founders around just, maybe staying lean, or doing the kind of research? I know it feels like you may have felt or coming on board. Um, was it primarily VC? Did you do angel groups? And then also just share with us some ways that folks can build those relationships with investors.
I think it's best to just stay lean, but more importantly, just don't give up. I think the the dawn is most dark for the day.
Yeah.
People give up when they're just so close,
Oh,
and
so true.
it's just period. People have to tough it out. Uh,
Absolutely. I
there are
agree.
many times where we were about to give up, but we didn't. We persevered.
What happened? Like, what were the conversations that you and your co-founder had when you were looking at, we're going to have to close up shop? Why, how did you turn yourselves around? Was like, were you having a bad day, but he had a good day, or, vice versa? Like, how did you cheer yourself through that?
Um, so I'm sorry.
Oh, so when you're as co-founders and you're sitting there and you're looking at the possibility that you're not going to get the capital you need to grow, and you're talking about, well, do we shut down? How did you talk yourselves into keeping going, not giving up? Because Dave, it's easy just to say, don't give up. But sometimes, founders are staring at an impossible, what feels like an impossible situation, right? That darkest before it gets dawn. And what did you and your co-founder, what kind of conversation did you have to help yourselves go, okay, nope, we're not shutting down. We're going to stay with this?
I mean, it's so funny. We just that wasn't even a thought process.
Okay, good.
It was
Quitting
like,
was not
hey,
an option.
it was not an option.
Perfect.
It was just, it was not an option at all.
Excellent. And that's important. If your head's, I've got that. I've been with my man for 36 years. Quitting is not an option. So you learn how to figure it out. It's the same thing with businesses, folks. So Rose, you've got a great question here for Dave. When you closed your last funding round for 60 million, where are most of those funds going to be allocated? For marketing to fuel growth or for product development?
So I think it's a lot of product development, a lot of sales, a lot of product development and sales. I think that's kind of where it's going to go.
Yeah. Yeah. And that leads me, of course, to your scaling strategy, because, you're at that certain point where now you're leaving startup behind and you're really entering that nice, sweet enterprise stage. What does that look like? You're in 2,000 plus locations in several countries. Where do you hope to see SQUIRE in 12 months?
I think it's I think I hope to see it, being more places, more locations. I hope to, see us doubling our reach in these 12 months, if
Yeah.
not tripling it. And I just want to build the best product and service for our customers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, that's your North Star. And so what's holding you back on something like that? Is there going to be
I mean, it's
anything?
just time. I think,
Yeah.
it's just time. Um, I think it's just time.
Yeah.
We'll figure that out over time.
Well, and you've got the funds to figure that out. How many
Mhm.
employees are you up to now?
We're over 200.
Okay. And everybody's working remote?
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, that's great. And is it mostly US based on your employees, or are you from around the world, or?
I mean, we have employees all over.
Yeah.
We're pretty spread out. We have some employees in Angola, so it's just wherever the talent is, we find them.
Awesome.
With the silver lining in COVID is we realize we can operate in a remote environment.
Right.
So it allows us to, be more nimble, allows us to find best talent everywhere. People don't have to move, and we'll figure that out.
And there you are in Houston. So,
Yeah,
you're able to be, I mean, I think, were you in the Northeast before?
yeah. I was in Northeast. I was everywhere.
It's like you can't get a mailbox or maybe a driveway in the Northeast. Like in
Yeah,
Houston, you've got a palace. So
yeah.
that's a smart move on your part. So, Dave, what does a successful outcome for SQUIRE look like for you?
I'm not sure. I think what we have to do is just keep focused, keep our heads down, keep building products and services for our customers, and making our customers happy. I think that's kind of like the near and long term vision, and everything that will come because of that.
Yeah.
You just got to keep your customers happy.
Do you think you'll be acquired? Do you think?
I mean, I try not to look at that. I mean,
Yeah.
I try not to look at that. I mean, hopefully we'll have a successful exit, but I think too many people focus on that too early and not
Yeah.
focus on
Well, and I look at the optics, we're the women founders out right now. We're all celebrating Rent the One Way's going to IPO because it's all women in the C-suite. And we were just like, yes. So, we get very excited over representation in the public markets. Andy Jack has a wonderful question. After getting to Series C, and you must have more interest in different POVs in your cap table, can you tell a story where you had to tell an investor no?
I mean, I think we also that's the nature of the game. Everybody can't get in, and fortunately that we're in a position that we don't have to let everybody in. I feel like we want to be selective of who invests now. We also want to make sure everyone's aligned in that mission. So
Yeah.
we could be selective who we want to let in.
Were you always that way from the beginning?
No, I mean, when you need capital, you need capital. You take it from who you can get it from.
Yeah.
But as you become more successful, you have more options.
Right. So when you're looking back since 2015, you've had this, wonderful trajectory, but my gosh, everybody, it's been 6 years. Okay. It's the old sit down for 6 years, overnight success. What was the one thing that stood out the most? And, Andy Jack is right. We love to hear stories from our founders on the show. What stood out as like the best learning moment that you and your co-founder had that surprised you and you thought, whew, that was great?
Learning moments. There's been so many. There were so many. Most recently, like a product feature.
Yeah.
We knew that you know the customers want it, but from a revenue standpoint, it would impact our revenue slightly, and we want to listen to our customers. And then we had some customers a trip because of it, and then we
Mhm.
started listening to our customers, and everyone's happy again.
Yay.
So I think that was very telling, and that your customer is always right, and you need to listen to your customers, and they will tell you if they want something or not.
You know what? I am feeling this coming on right now. This is a stitch that on a pillow moment. I can see that on the pillow beautifully. The customer is always right.
The customer is always right, and you think it's cliche, but it is the truth. The customer really will tell you what they want,
Yeah.
and it's your job to build it. I mean, it
You
has to be. You can't be a pushover, but some things, you can't, you can't sacrifice.
That's right. That's right. And sometimes what would, especially when you've owned a barbershop for a year and are in the trenches, right? You figured out some things that I'm sure many of your customers didn't know. And so that added so much value to the experience, which I love. So in those dark nights, when you were thinking, oh my gosh, this is just the hardest thing I ever did. What was I thinking? Why bother? The usual mindset
Hmm.
messages that we can start giving ourselves when we're feeling like, ugh, the founder doubt. How did you turn your mindset around? Like, what is a hack that you use to help you stay focused on building the best product for your customers instead of like, what was I thinking? This is a disaster.
Oh, come again. I'm sorry.
So what's a mindset hack? I get that you're very confident, Dave, and that you are a founder who is really good at staying focused on solving the problem and coming up with great um, solutions. But when you're facing your own founder doubt, what mindset hack do you use to turn your mindset around and get rid of that, chokehold that you might have on the
I mean,
business?
um, I think we just have to stay grounded. I mean, I think
Yeah,
being grounded is really important to keeping your psyche in line when things are going, bad.
right.
I think you got to be even keeled. Don't get too excited when things are going very well, but also don't get too depressed when things turn bad, because it's like anything, when you go on the valley, in the valley, the mountain is right next to it, or the hill, and when you're on the hill, the valley is coming. So you just need to stay in the middle, from a mental state, and I think that's some good, yeah.
That is such brilliant advice. Seriously, of course, everybody knows that I love having these Andelicious moments. I'm having one now on that advice. And Dave, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is a roller coaster that we're on. So if you can maintain that even keel and be realistic, because I'm always saying 1 minute we're popping the champagne, the next minute we're crying into it. It can, you keep that even keel, it can really help. We have one more question. I'm going to wrap things up here.
Mhm.
Asia's wondering, what's the process of getting customer feedback to incorporate into your product?
I think customer feedback. I mean, I think now we're at scale. We do it in a more systematic way. We have QA engineers that ask folks
Hmm.
about what do you feel about this. We have product managers. But early on, it was just you asking your customers, do you like this or not? Tell me why you don't like it. And you have to be really close to your customers. What do you need? There was a lot of customization features built out for customers early on. Some of them they used, some of them they didn't use, but we had to take that feedback. And
Yep.
early on, it's like early on, it's a one by one basis. When you don't have that many customers, you can be very, very, um, very hands on.
Yep.
But as you scale, you have to take consensus of group ideas and not just build custom for everyone. But early on, you got to do what you got to do.
I love that. And I lied. I'm going to get one more question. And Asia, thank you for that great question. Rose has one more. Last year, at the height of COVID, when business was super slow for your team, looking back, what part of the business did you personally focus most of your time on that paid huge dividends a year later? Great
I think
question.
I think I think what was most important though is if we just focus on taking care of our customers, because if we were doing bad, they were shut down and having no money coming in. So I think we did a great job of really focusing on great job of really focus on building the product and services that allowed them to get through that particular time
Yeah.
when they had no revenue coming in. And I think it made a lot of sense for us.
I love that. And Rose, that's such a good question, because here, I mean, I'm with you, Dave. I have short hair. I was wearing funky wigs after 16 weeks of my stylist. Nobody was open here in Boston. And, I get my hair cut every 3 to 4 weeks. So I was just going all morose from on trying to get through that time. Oh my gosh. And Asia, thank you. She says, thank you. Sounds like you are scaling amazingly. Congrats.
Mhm.
Wishing you continued success. We all are wishing you continued success. And really, you are a role model. And the advice that you've given today, Dave, is going to help
Mhm.
founders from around the world. You gave some great nuggets, but also anybody, just go watch SQUIRE Technologies, go to their website, go to their online presence, and see how they tune into their customers and stay focused, because it's a B2B business, but it's also a B2C business. So they're making their barbershop owners happy, but the end users are really also what they're focusing on, right, Dave? Those folks who can get that haircut and have a really good, smooth transaction with their
Mhm.
barbershop.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I
All
appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you so much for joining me in the Startup Life Live Show. I'm going to pop you into the green room. I'm wishing you, with everyone else, continued success. You have fans, founder fans, really around the world in what you're doing. And we're all cheering you on wildly with SQUIRE Technologies, you and your co-founder and your team.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much for joining me today. Oh my gosh, everybody. We learned so much from Dave. It's always great to bring in the different perspectives from founders, right? And what they've gone through and what they've learned along the way, their insights based on who they are as well. We bring our personalities to our businesses. So that's, we learn from that experience as well. Andy Jack says, thanks, Dave. Good luck moving forward. And Rose Callahan is saying, thank you, Dave, for all of the advice. It's true. We learned a ton from this co-founder and president of SQUIRE Technologies. So let me share with you who is coming up next. Speaking of amazing co-founder of an incredible company, we have Everett Harper. He's the co-founder and CEO of Truss. And I don't know if you recognize the name Truss, but Truss has for 10 years helping startups scale and large enterprises and public agencies transform from legacy to modern systems. They were part of the team that was brought in to save healthcare.gov. So Everett has a lot to share, not just in launching this business that's been around for a decade, but also we're going to go dive deep into reducing bias and increasing diversity in tech hiring practices. This is a mission that Everett is on, and I know he's going to share some great advice for all of us in that category. And we've also got a great lineup in November. We just listened to Dave, then we've got Everett, we've got Jacqueline Hampton, founder and CEO of Portigo, coming in, and Kieran, he's the founder and CEO of Arcadia. That's a clean tech company, and making access, unlocking access for anybody to take advantage of clean tech and participate. So a lot's coming up. And how do you get alerts whenever I post a new show? You join the Startup Life Live meetup group. And for anyone also who prefers listening, hop on over to the podcasts, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. You will find the Startup Life Live show right there. So you can listen instead of watch, which is also a wonderful way to take in the information. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today. I'm so grateful for your time, for your presence. And I just, as always, just want to leave you with this last few thoughts, which is, promise me you'll always remember that you're braver than you believe and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. Oh, yeah. As we say in Boston, you're wicked smarter than you think. Thank you so much. Hey, Asia K, we're going to try out an after show on Twitter Spaces. So to talk about what we learned and more, if you guys are interested, check out the Startup Life Live Twitter for details, and I will share the link. We're just starting this off, testing it out, and you can find Asia K. She'll be hosting this on Twitter, but I will have the links, and just follow me on Twitter and we'll go ahead and post that in for you, okay? Because we'd love to keep the conversation going. All right, until next time, I'm wishing you a delicious day wherever you are glowing. Thanks again for tuning in to the Startup Life Live show. Mwah!